Piccolo is clearly a fan favourite amongst those who view Dragon Ball, but why? Simply being cool? His character growth from evil to good? The same can be said of a lot of Dragon Ball's cast, especially Vegeta. So what makes Piccolo special beyond this? For me, it would be his search for identity that resonates with how Dragon Ball's target audience are either people struggling to find a path, or how to achieve what goals they've set, which is different from things such as Vegeta's acceptance of the changes that must come to his Saiyan ideals, or Ten Shinhan fully abandoning his old ways with no conflict once doing so. Although some information might be reiterating what I've said in past videos, today will be one to focus on a comprehensive look at how Piccolo found his identity. To start off with his birth, Piccolo's birth is one rooted in Buddhist, Taoist, and Shinto beliefs. Goku punching through Piccolo Daimao's Ma kanji symbolizes how monkeys are seen as defenders against demons in Japan, and some of Piccolo's demon nature haven't been purged, something we are given clear confirmation on later on. The Daimao is still conscious enough to speak after spitting the egg out, and showing he isn't the consciousness of the new Piccolo. This also ties into how Taoist masters were believed to spit out a pellet known as a dan, to transfer all their chi and experience to a successor in a similar manner, which, for those not aware, is also where Zeppeli's Hamon transference to Jonathan in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, or Genkai's Reiko Gyoku in Yu Yu Hakusho find their roots. And the Buddhist ideas of the mind stream in reincarnation show Piccolo having a strong mind stream in inheriting all of the Daimao's memories. On top of that, he also inherited a life link to Kami, solidifying him as the reincarnation of Piccolo Daimao, who instead becomes his subconscious. This new consciousness shows in taking very different approaches to his previous self that go beyond what would be expected of character growth, such as using the more youthful aura as his pronoun, like Goku, rather than the Daimao's more elderly Washi, as well as providing more genuine praise to skilled humans than the older Piccolo's mocking praise provided. All this leads to the confusion amongst viewers of, is Piccolo the son or reincarnation of Piccolo Daimao? And the answer is both, which is where the internal conundrum lies. We see this fully explored in the Saiyan arc, which is best summed up with this quote here. Although Piccolo's lack of retaliation was partially from wanting to be prepared in perfecting the Makanko Sappo, there was also his thoughts on his purpose. Is there more to his existence than fulfilling Piccolo Daimao's will? And even if he does, what then? Especially with his mastery of ki informing him he wouldn't live long. The side story of Koyama Takao, in the name of Piccolo Daimao, also delves into Piccolo being confused by Goku sparing him, and pondering on that. Though we'll never be able to tell if this was a narrative Toriyama had full agreement with, considering overriding Koyama's ideas isn't something he was against, even if praising them, it does line up with the inner complexities of Piccolo's identity that culminate in him moving so far beyond his demon nature that Goku and Raditz's souls are able to enter the afterlife, though having already lost it then. Gohan's words to Piccolo and his unconscious decision to save him confirmed to him that his identity was no longer that of Piccolo Daimao or his successor, but then, what is it? This is an aspect of the Frieza arc that doesn't get enough praise. When Piccolo is done with his Shugyo under Kaio, his attitude shifts from wanting to defeat Frieza out of his desire as a martial artist to test himself, to doing so for the sake of his people, which shows a major change in his mindset. Something understandable when the bulk of the Shugyo he does here is meditation rather than physical training. As a side tangent to new viewers, this is why I use the term Shugyo rather than training, with the latter not carrying over the same mental and spiritual connotations. An aspect that goes overlooked is how much ki he was able to cultivate in those 6 days, with him going from far weaker than Nappa to someone Nail found incredible, and some sources even suggesting Piccolo's battle power would be over 200,000. This is a bit much to swallow even compared to the other bloated power increases in the Frieza arc, but it isn't without some logic in 6 days of Kaio's Shugyo being far more beneficial than a century on Earth, and had Piccolo's focus on gaining the right-mindedness or shoki to cultivate ki better, allowing him to make the most of it compared to even Goku, whose main task after getting used to the gravity was mastering techniques. In any case, Piccolo seems to have found his identity as a Namekian, and a representative of them against Frieza, especially after fusing with Nail and gaining some of his traits. Though Nail did have more effect on his personality than he let on, liar! Piccolo's mindset beforehand and willingness to fuse with him shows how his identity has become that of a Namekian from Earth, coming to avenge his people in a similar manner to Goku's own identity when facing Frieza. It's after the battle is done though that Piccolo forgoes the root of his identity in leaving to New Namek, with both his bond with Gohan and his Budo ideals that have formed thanks to Goku show him to have found a balance of his heritage as a Namekian and goals as a martial artist on Earth. It's of course in the Cell arc though that the biggest shift to his character and internal identity since the Saiyan arc occurs, in him needing to fuse with Kami, as this has a profound change on who he is. Though he still goes by Piccolo, it's purely due to the body being fundamentally Piccolo's, with some of his mannerisms such as kindness to Bobo or acceptance of being made irrelevant being much more those of Kami, to which we see a new struggle as these personality traits clash. This continues in the Buu arc with subservience to Shin due to the god hierarchy, or comedic reactions with Gotenks, contrasted with things such as being willing to charge in to save Shin, his cold attitude when confronting Babidi, or his impatient attitude towards Goten and Trunks. That is much more the Piccolo of earlier arcs. Or, on a similar note and going back to the Cell game, his chastising of Goku and willingness to go help Gohan. It's in the Buu arc that we see Piccolo having found his balance between being Piccolo and Kami, that work as a conclusion to his character arc in the original manga, keeping some of his Budo ideals, owning his skills and being willing to jump into action, while being far more willing to hold a mentor role to the boys and assist in Dende. He has gone beyond trying to find a label for what he could be, whether it be Piccolo Daimao, Namekian, or Kami, and instead accept that he's a complex melting pot of different experiences and traits. Of course, it's worth talking about post-Buu material, that each provide different yet fitting conclusions to Piccolo's character arc, though Super struggled to find a good way to continue this thread consistently for a while, even when throwing a bone Piccolo's way in power relevancy sometimes. Super Hero provided the solid direction for him in his selfless wish for greater power to defend Earth, challenging his thoughts in the Cell arc, in showing him never being able to match Goku or Vegeta again, was something his own doubts created, while him assuring Gohan brings out his true power along with tutoring Pan, create an even more well-balanced mix of the two main halves than the Buu arc did. There's then his role in GT, where, along with becoming far stronger, that shows the resilience of his Budo. His sacrifice shows him as accepting an aspect that comes with his new identity, in the ultimate Dragon Balls being the consequence of it. This, along with his role after death, show GT Piccolo as all the previous main identities I've mentioned being combined, through the ultimate Dragon Balls exploring the Namekian side, and his role of being the one to keep Hell's occupants in line, making him in some ways the Daimao of justice. That also shows his Kami side, with these traits being balanced best in his last meeting with Goku. GT ends Piccolo's character arc on a very fulfilling note, regardless of if it's the original manga, Super's current events, or GT's ending. Piccolo's complete character arc is one of someone trying to find what can define them and give them purpose, with Piccolo's complex composition having him find his place as a mentor, finding what he can call a family, and a healthy path as a martial artist willing to defend Earth dutifully. Thank you for having watched through this appropriate Piccolo Day video. For more Dragon Ball videos, check the channel out and subscribe. If wanting to see last year's Piccolo Day video, check out this analysis on Piccolo Daimao's role.